All right, what's going on, y'all? Another episode of The Natty Teacher here. I am, of course, your host, who else? The Natty Teacher. Today's lesson, I actually recorded this intro a while ago before the gym, but it was just way too long. I was had a case of the yaps, man. I'll tell you what. I'm a recovering yapaholic. Anyways, so today's session, we're just going to make it very short and sweet. It is a pull A session. I'll give you a heads up. It was phenomenal. So you'll see that in the outro again. But pull A session, definitely more of a lat focused back portion of this pull session. But yeah, hopefully you enjoy it. I'm going to just jump right into it with some lat pull downs right about now. All right, so first exercise on the docket here, we got a good old lat pull down. What I'm doing is I am taking about a little wider than shoulder width grip. We are really driving those elbows down and stopping the bar just above the chest. I found that if I actually drive it to the chest, that my elbows track a little bit too far back, and it actually loses tension on the lats, which is obviously the last thing that I want to do. Every rep two, you're going to see that I am bringing that bar all the way up and stretching those back, stretching that back, excuse me. You can see that my arms are completely straight. I actually am stretching that back out as far as I possibly can. Adds a whole nother level of difficulty to this exercise. Remember, drop the ego, drop the weight most likely, and do this correctly, but still train with that, we'll call it intentional intensity. Be intentional about how hard you're working in the gym. Don't waste your time. Go in there, nail it, do it correctly. 2 working sets. This is my top set, and then we did 1 back off set. Then we have some Smith machine rows. Has become my favorite rowing movement pattern purely because you cannot change where the bar goes. You're pulling it to the exact same spot every time, and if you're not, then you're doing it wrong. Okay, we did a top set here. Again, the form is a little bit looser on this exercise, still controlling the bar on the way down, controlling the retraction, all that kind of fun stuff. But we did 1 top set here, and then 1 back off set as well. Again, felt that through the whole back. Then we have what is called a lat pull through, okay, also sometimes called a lat prayer. You can mix up the bars here and kind of find one that you fancy the most. This is about a shoulder width bar for me. And what I'm doing is I'm actually using my Versa grips and wrapping them around this bar. This is my back off set. This was a little bit of a higher rep set here. What you're going to see is I'm really stretching the back out, having a nice controlled retraction, probably about a 2 to 3 count on the way up, like right now, and then on the way down, I pull through explosively, kind of pulling towards the knees almost, or just above the knees. So I'm trying to really, really pull that bar far down, squeeze in the back, and control that retraction on the way up. Really fill up those lats with blood. Again, this one I would recommend. You absolutely do not have to, but I would recommend if you're going to play with this exercise a little bit. Again, find the bar and the width that works best for you. And also, I would highly recommend keeping the weight the reps in a little bit of the higher rep range. Maybe that 12 to 20, maybe even 12 to 30 rep range, really squeezing through the back. You could do this. It's great to start a back workout with this to prime the back. Or for me, I actually ended the back portion of my pull workout with this exercise today. Mix it up a little bit, rather than just some assisted pull-ups. So anyways, 2 working sets here. Both were in that at least 15 to 20 rep range. Then we moved on to the rear delt portion. Today is my heavier rear delt portion for my pull days. This is essentially the only exercise I do for rear delts, and my rear delts have grown substantially. I just changed the rep ranges here. And sometimes the tempo, but more the rep ranges. So today was a heavier one. We did 2 sets of 10. So we did 1 straight set of 10, which you're going to see here. Then we did what's called a myo rep match set, meaning that we did like 8 in a row, took a quick pause, and then did 2 more to match that first set's repetitions. And then we did a back off set after that. So 3 total working sets. Then we have some good old dumbbell hammer curls. Now, I had somebody comment on one of my videos recently, and they said, hey, why don't you, do like a Mike Mentzer style training where it's only 1 working set and lower the actual repetitions and up the volume a little bit. Up the weight a little bit? That's a great question. And that's kind of what I did here a little bit. Last week, I think I did 2 working sets with the 40s and then a back off set with the 30s. Today, we did our top set with the 50s and then did a back off set with the 45s. So kept it heavier, kept the reps between the 10 to 15 rep range for this particular exercise. Again, only 2 working sets. That's it, of this particular exercise. Okay, now I didn't need a ton of time to warm up here either because the arms were already pretty primed up from pulling. That's the nice thing when you transition from, like, if you're doing like a pull day and you go from back and rear delts or something to biceps, you really shouldn't need a ton of warming up. You should be able to kind of jump right into your top sets pretty quickly. Again, in my warm-up sets, I might only do a rep or two. I think I did 1 rep with the 50s before I did this actual top set with them. So again, top set here with the 50s, and then a back off set with the 45s, controlling the weight on the way down, even as it gets harder, like in this portion here, even as it's getting harder and harder, we still got to control that weight on the way down, control, even a brief little pause there, and make sure that we're just, getting the most out of this movement. Again, 2 total working sets. I was going to do some one-arm cable curls here, but both sides of the cable tower you see in the background were taken. So I went old school here. Went with some alternating dumbbell curls. Absolutely love it. I actually don't do this exercise a ton, to be honest with you, and I don't know why. In my off season, I might, put this one in a little bit more frequently in a couple of my mesocycles, which we will actually talk about the mesocycles as I move into the off season. Essentially, it just means a training block. Roughly for me, it would be about a 12 to 14 week training block where I would run a certain amount of certain exercises for a couple different training, for like 2 different 6-week periods, and then change up the exercises a little bit, angles, repetitions, all that kind of fun stuff. But again, we'll talk about that as we get closer and closer to the off season. That'll be a fun thing to address. Anyways, so again, controlling that retraction on the way down, kind of twisting very early on at the bottom. You'll see that I'm not twisting like midway through the actual exercise, which makes it a lot easier. I'm starting that twist early. As soon as it's leaving the side of my body, I'm twisting it up. We're getting it. We're holding it at the top of the movement, at least for a brief moment, getting that nice full squeeze, feeling that bicep contract hard, and then controlling it on the way down. Again, we did 2 total working sets here as well. I think we did, the 40s and then the 35s. Again, keeping the reps relatively high. I think we did a set of 15 here, and then a back off set of at least 15 to 20 again. I think it was closer to 20. Really pumping it out. Again, 2 total working sets here. Nothing too crazy. Very simple exercises, but man, they are effective. Getting nice and lean here, feeling great. And then after this, really all we had left was some abs, which you will see here in a second. I usually train abs, as a reminder, roughly 3 times per week, 1 to 2 exercises per session. Same thing with calves, usually just 1 exercise per session 3 times a week. Repetitions and stuff like that do change. So speaking of abs, here we go. These are some machine crunches. Now what you'll see here is I love this for we'll call it top half, the upper portion of the abdominal muscles. Okay, I would not say that this is the ideal lower ab movement, but what you're going to see here is I actually put my arms up over the machine and I bring it all the way down to in between my legs. That part you can't see because I know that where I was recording, there's like a little table in the way. You can't really see that, but I'm actually bringing those handles all the way down in between my legs and squeezing. So each repetition, obviously without, with having a sweatshirt and clothes on, you can't really tell that I'm doing this. But when I'm bringing the machine up, so when you can see my face, like right now, when I'm bringing it up like that, what I'm doing is I'm kind of pretending like I'm trying to almost pull a stomach vacuum. So I'm sucking my abdominals in. And then crunching down and feeling them squeeze every repetition. So you'll see me kind of hold at the bottom, not for long, but just a brief pause at the bottom. For this one, we did 4 total working sets, 45-second to minute breaks. Does not need to be even super heavy. Each of them were at least 20 reps. As of right now, we're not trying to kill the abs. The abs are looking pretty solid, and I want to make sure that I don't have any issues as far as like flexing them goes or having them be too overly fatigued as we get close to stage. I will say the last week during my peak week, 0 abdominal or leg training. We'll talk about more as to why that is the case as we get closer to peak week here when we get into it. So anyways, this was a great workout, phenomenal. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Hopefully you got through that just straight yapping intro and made it this far and got a lot out of it again. So here we go with the outro. All right, y'all. We are back in the Natty basement with the Natty cat. Just gave her some food. Look at all the laundry. It's gone. It's all folded up. Boom! Look at all that. Crazy. Anyways, I'm just sipping on a little energy drink. Got my clothes together for tomorrow. I got a lot of clothes, man. That's all just for tomorrow. Oh, there we go. Yeah, literally all just for tomorrow. But anyways, outro time. Pull session today. Absolute 12 out of 10. A++. Dropped training volume just a little bit, meaning that instead of doing, for example, usually I would do 8 working sets of back in this pull session. Today I did 6. So I did 3 exercises. I did warmed up and, worked up to 1 all-out top set, and then 1, we'll call it the all-out back-off set, where I drop the weight about 10 to 20%. Go at it again like that, okay? We're going to carry this on for the rest of the prep, but you got to remember the rest of the prep is less than 3 weeks. So we only have a couple more pull sessions that the volume will be dropped. We actually have a deload week, which we'll talk about during peak weeks. So that's going to line up perfectly. My body should be nice and full and relaxed and ready to rock and roll while actually front loading some carbs again. All of that stuff we will talk about during the peak week protocol series, kind of a separate little mini series here working up to the show. So before I leave though, I'm going to give a very, very special shout out to 2 of my brothers from another mother, the Smith Boys. You got to go check out their podcast, dude. And I'm not just saying this because they are the closest thing on this earth that I got to actual brothers. And Dano, he's in there too if you're watching this. But I'll tell you what, their podcast is hilarious. They got great banter. They've talked about, as far as podcast topics goes, they probably got the most topics out there. Anything from college and college football to NFL to the NHL, a lot of sports related pods to now recently some F1, some Formula One, a Fortnite podcast. You'll even see me in a couple of their episodes with some workout related podcasts from months ago at this point. But check them out. Again, all you got to type in on YouTube is Smith Boys Podcast. Let's get their subscriber count up. Go ahead and check out their channel and give them a listen. They're, like I said, they got great banter. It's great to listen to the background when you're, doing some stuff around the house or hanging out or whatever. If you're big into podcasts, again, go check out the Smith Boys Podcast for sure. Anyways, so pull session today, phenomenal. Learning objective was to smash some back, rear delts, and biceps, and we absolutely did that. Again, bringing that training volume down was just a chef's kiss. Phenomenal idea. And we have brought calories down again this week for the last couple weeks leading up to my peak week. And again, that we'll talk about all the differences once we get there. Be on the lookout for some posing clips. This is actually my posing area, I should say. So kind of a very transparent area. So you'll see kind of the pad here, just some basic carpet and all that. Very much so just some bright white light. So it'll give you an idea of, kind of what I'm working with, obviously, is I'm also very white. But yeah, it definitely reveals the strengths and the weaknesses of my physique for sure. So hopefully you guys will dig those clips when they go up. Anyways, join me tomorrow for a leg session. Again, the volume on that will be also dropped down just a little bit. It's my first leg session of the week. It is more of a quad-based leg workout. So follow along with that in the basement gym, the dungeon. A nice little change of scenery for y'all. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Again, any suggestions or feedback you got, I've been getting a lot more comments and still some messages on my social media, so please continue to do that and follow up with that. I love it. We're at like over, I think it's like 143 subscribers last time I checked. So we're just kind of continuously chipping away at growing. So I appreciate all y'all big time. And I'm going to keep the content coming every single day up until prep. And then even after that. So I'm very excited to compete and also to transition into the new series in a couple weeks, which will be our off-season protocol. So anyways, we're rocking and rolling, man. Again, today's lesson is complete. I'll catch y'all tomorrow. And for today, I am the Natty Teacher, and school is out. I'll see y'all tomorrow.